Hello and welcome back to Seagulls Central and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the podcast for another episode. And boy, what a result do we have to get into today. A huge result for the Albion in the fifth round of the FA Cup, going away to Newcastle, away to St James's Park and getting a fantastic result on the road, continuing the run of games after Brighton's result. Obviously at Nottingham Forest, we've won every single game since and we've looked really good. Look, Brighton had to go to extra time. We had a really good moment in terms of that winning goal. But make no mistake, Brighton played very well in this game. There were some fantastic individual performances. And what a comeback this team has shown in recent weeks to be able to pull fantastic performances out of the bag. I'll be honest with you, when we got this draw, Newcastle away in the fifth round, I thought all of our hopes... I didn't really say it too much, but in my head I'd kind of given up on the fact that this FA Cup run would continue beyond this round. And really I should have had more faith in my team and more faith in this group of players, because they're a group of players, it's a team that have the kind of never say die attitude. They've got such talent, such quality. We're seeing fantastic coaching at the moment from Fabian Hurzeler. And we've gone to a very good Newcastle side who are very well coached themselves and put in a really strong performance. And it's one that I think we can all be very proud of. Brighton now in a very decent position for this season to make something good happen. We're still on for Europe. We've got a squad that's looking generally pretty healthy, and we're now into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. And I want to quickly just acknowledge actually a bit of a new setting, not in the usual studio. I've had to make a bit of a makeshift studio. Been away from my usual settings, my usual surroundings. As you can see, I'm a little bit sun-kissed as well. But I thought I just had to jump on and react to that game because it was fantastic. So many brilliant performances, so many brilliant moments. And, you know, in a season really where a couple of weeks ago I would have been kind of worrying that the season was over, that our European hopes were over and that any chances of kind of winning silverware was over as well. You know, what a turnaround it's been. And also it looks like we took loads of fans up there. This wasn't a game I was able to get to, but a game where it looks like we've taken like 7,000 fans, proving again how fantastic our away support is. In the next round, I mean, look, I'm going to get the list up of teams that we could face in the next round. Preston North End, now that would be unbelievable. If we could do ideally a home game against Preston North End. I wouldn't even mind an away game against Preston North End. Villa, Crystal Palace, that would be tasty, wouldn't it? Man United or Fulham, Brighton, Bournemouth, Man City, Forest or Ipswich, and I've just lost it. Brilliant, that's good. But there are some teams in there that would be quite nice to face. I think that's it. So ideally maybe in Ipswich we get through past Nottingham Forest and we could play them. Away to Preston North End, even Crystal Palace would be a nice result. Bournemouth, I'd kind of back us to go and maybe get a result against them again. We saw how good we were in the cup again in the league against them last week. Even though most of the big six technically really are out of this cup now, the majority of them, Liverpool out, etc. Arsenal, actually, there isn't really an easy draw in that. The only one you'd maybe say is Preston, and that's, I'm sure all teams will be wanting to get them. But let's go into some of the games. I thought Jack Hinshelwood, absolutely brilliant. Fantastic. Obviously, having in the Bournemouth game, lost his place to Diego Gomez, who obviously we had to see Jack Hinshelwood come on and play kind of at left back and right back and be a bit more utility. We saw Diego Gomez do so well against Bournemouth, looking like a really top player, and a player who I thought wouldn't be dropped from this side because some of those balls that he was playing through on Tuesday night was just unbelievable. To see them firsthand was amazing. And for Jack Hinshelwood to come in a team that I was otherwise pretty unchanged, I think it was only one or two changes. Jack Hinshelwood, for me, was one of the man of the matches. Energetic, wins every ball, technically fantastic. He can play those little 1-2s with like Baleba and João Pedro, and I saw him doing it with Mitoma at times, and be able to get us up the field so brilliantly. He bursts into the box. He's so busy, kind of gets around every player, so fantastic in the press and that kind of style that we want to put forward with the pressing football. I think there's a real argument that he was the man of the match in this game. There were some other very good players. I thought João Pedro was very good. I thought Jan-Paul van Hecke was fantastic. I thought Adam Webster again was very good. Rutter and Mitoma probably have slightly more quiet games. Baleba looking okay, obviously coming off before the end of the 90 minutes looking okay himself. But I really did think that, I thought Diego Gomez looked himself very good when he came on. But I think Jack Hinchelwood particularly was fantastic. If we go into the game, I thought for that first half, really overall, Brighton played some really, really good football. They're like a very good side. They were passing around nicely, although kind of Newcastle maybe had the better of the opportunities. I think the way we played, we looked very, very comfortable in possession. We were building up very nicely. We were playing little 1-2s in the middle of the park. We were playing it around Newcastle quite well. And actually, for a Newcastle side, you probably thought in their fan base that they're a better side than Brighton. Actually, I think we showed what a good side we are. And obviously with players like Minteh, who they had to let go, it's difficult for them. But I thought we were really, really good. It was a shame, though, because obviously they go ahead due to that Minteh moment where he gave the penalty away. The ball's on the left-hand side of the Newcastle box, and I think it's Gordon on the ball, and Minteh's kind of just slightly out of position and rushes back to get back into a kind of right wing, right back position to kind of win the ball back. And it's one of the things we've all praised Minteh for so much, is that work ethic and that willingness to get up and down and put a foot in and kind of really get stuck in. But on this occasion, it was kind of slightly mistimed and a bit ill-judged, and he kind of just clumsily kind of just fell into Anthony Gordon, and it was a bit rash, it was a bit reckless. But to be honest, I think, I like that kind of thing. I know it was a bit silly, but I think I like having wingers. He reminds me of Anthony Knockout in that way, and that with that real desire to get up and down, get forward, and get stuck into the game. And I think you've got to commend him for stuff like that, because it's brilliant. And then Isak tucks it away. But generally, it didn't really change the way we played. I thought Newcastle did have a bit of momentum after that, but actually Brighton looked very good. We were still creating some good chances. João Pedro and Rutter getting in behind a few times. Mitoma got in behind as well, had a few opportunities. And then it came to our equaliser. And we equalised kind of not really too long after that, probably 15 minutes afterwards. João Pedro gets the ball, plays it into Minteh. Minteh goes one-on-one with Dubravka, and thanks to a bit of a deflection, manages to finish it. Left-footed, kind of gets into the bottom right-hand corner. A nice little goal. It probably was going to get blocked, but it ended up being kind of deflected quite nicely into the back of the net. He was very respectful with his celebration. I did say at the time, I don't really see why he was, because to be honest, I don't think he did even play a game for Newcastle. I actually genuinely don't know. But yeah, it was brilliant. A fantastic goal. And I want to make a couple of shout-outs, because I think Yankuba Minteh was fantastic. Obviously, a player who we signed in the summer, 30 million quid. It's a lot of money for a player who perhaps a lot of people wouldn't have heard of. And, he's been so good ever since he's come into the side again in the new year. Obviously, we saw him really in the turn of the new year, kind of win his place back in the side after being out with injury. I remember seeing him at Man United away in mid-January, and him and Mitoma were brilliant. And we saw, it felt like a bit of a turn in kind of the way we were playing in terms of that reliance on wingers and reliance on kind of getting in behind with pace. And I think those two with Rutter and João Pedro and Danny Welbeck, it's such a fluid attack. It's such a technically gifted attack. And I want to give a shout out to him, because not only is he fantastic technically, he works really hard as well. And he had some really good opportunities. He gets us up the field so well. And him and Mitoma on either side are fantastic. And it means that even on days when kind of Mitoma doesn't have a fantastic day, we still look pretty decent thanks to someone like Yankuba Minteh. Jan-Paul van Hecke and Adam Webster, fantastic as always, as they have been again. When Lewis Dunk kind of got injured, what was it, a few weeks ago in one of the Chelsea games, it's been a difficult season for Lewis Dunk, and we've seen Igor deputise, we've seen Adam Webster deputise. I remember when Rory McConville, we sent him out. We lost him on a permanent transfer in the January transfer window. I felt, God, what are our options? Aaron Cashin coming in. But Adam Webster, a player who's been at the club this whole time, with his experienced head, and someone who I think we'd all kind of maybe not lost faith in, but kind of just accepted maybe was past his best, is showing again that experience, that leadership, that willingness to win every tackle. He plays the ball out so brilliantly. We forget that, for a long time he was such a fantastic ball-playing centre-half for us. And, we're seeing the best of Adam Webster, playing with a real confidence. And I think that was always the thing with Adam Webster for me, was that confidence, and the fact that he wasn't always a player who, I think, after that talk around him getting an England call-up, he then kind of looked a bit nervy once he lost his place to Levi Colwill and was coming in as a deputy. I think he's clearly a player who needs a run of games, and we're seeing now he's probably had 5-6 games under his belt in a row where he's looking very, very good. He only conceded a couple of goals in all the games he's played in, and has a real talismanic, essence to him. Obviously, wearing the captain's armband at Newcastle, you can see the passion it means to him at full time. And for a player who also got a lot of stick from the fan base probably a year and a half ago, I think props to him, because he's really, really turned it around. He should really sign a new deal. I think probably Tariq Lamptey will sign a new deal as well, although he didn't have the best games at Newcastle. But it shows how things can change in kind of a few months. And now, when Lewis Dunk does come back, it looks like he's probably going to be a player who might struggle to get back into that side. And finally, I need to be quick. This is only a quick video. I want to just jump on. But we need to talk about Danny Welbeck. Does he go down as the best free transfer in Premier League history? Maybe? Certainly in Brighton Hove Albion's recent history, he's got to be the best. Thinking about, when we brought him in from Watford, I think we all probably thought he was a short-term solution with kind of players like Neil Maupay at the club. We were beginning to see Evan Ferguson come in. How long would he be the option? And it's just becoming evergreen for us, in game after game, particularly this season. Not only is he getting goals, but he's coming in clutch moments. He's performing for us in the way we need him to. He's bringing others into play. That link-up play is better than ever. The way he can shield the ball, win the ball, drive with the ball, play with players like João Pedro. It's fantastic. And again, what a goal that was against Newcastle. What a goal. In a clutch moment in, 113 minutes on the clock with only 7 minutes to go, in extra time, away from home, in a big pressure game. Who's going to stand up? It's Danny Welbeck again with... whenever he gets that moment, whenever he gets the time to make that finish, it's more often than not perfect. And it was a perfectly, placed ball in from Solly March. By the way, I think we need to give him his credit for that ball. It was absolutely fantastic. And the little dink was just excellent. A touch of class. Is he up there with one of Brighton's best ever free signings? I think it's got to be. This season, is it his best season at the club? It clearly is. And we're stacked at the moment. So many fantastic attackers, so many different options. And it's so nice to have so many. And one thing I love about this side is that we'll be able to bring so many different players off the bench. We can play Hinshelwood in one game, bring him off, get Gomez on. We can bring Baleba off, bring Weaver on. We can get, João Pedro off, bring Welbeck on. There are so many options. And I think that's what Fabian Hurzeler is finding really, really useful this season. And we're seeing the best of every single player in this squad at the moment. And I think we've got to give some credit to Fabian Hurzeler, because the way he's turned this run around has just been so, so fantastic. So look, we're going to have the draw probably in the next couple of days to see who we're facing in the quarterfinal. Look, a trip to Wembley now looks pretty likely. If Brighton can, all of those teams there, Brighton have got a result against in recent history. And I think there's nothing to say they can't do it again. And if Fabian Hurzeler can deliver maybe a European finish and a trip to Wembley, that's just as good as De Zerbi, isn't it? And maybe I'll have to eat my hat, so we shall see. But yeah, a massive result. I'll be back on in a couple of days to properly dissect this. This is more just a reaction to kind of spew all of my thoughts and really just soak in the amazing win. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate you sticking this on, putting me in your ears or tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Please follow the podcast, comment down below and drop a like on the channel. I really, really appreciate your support, and I will see you next time. And as always, up the Albion.